All right. Well, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Q&A portion of our webinar on simple strategies to improve retention. I'm Kirby Sneen with our two guest speakers here, Jody O'Neill and Jennifer Lindquist. Jody, Jennifer, super excited to have both of you here. Thanks for making the time.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, so just jumping into some questions about your presentations here. Jennifer, I wanted to start with you. You talked about how those first 90 days sometimes can be rough, how and maybe I'm not exactly right on the numbers here, but if you hire 60, you might lose 50.
Yeah.
So, it could be rough. But what do you think were some of the reasons why things were so rough? And then once you analyzed that and learned about that, how did that inform your strategies going forward?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with engagement and just making sure that the supervisors are engaging. And we were kind of just letting them go off with their trainer and then just expecting everything to go well. And I think the biggest deal is attendance. Actually, on third shift, attendance is our biggest problem. And then the job that they come into is really, I would say, fast-paced. And you have to be pretty agile to do it, and either cut out for it or you aren't. And so we just want to check in with them daily and just make sure they're comfortable and they're doing well. And yeah.
You also mentioned how there's lots of documentation. You talked a little bit about how supervisors are doing the follow-up, they're doing the check-ins, but lots of documentation. That seems like a lot of work. Was there any resistance to all the potential paperwork?
It's not paperwork. It's forms.
Oh, smart
so
sheets?
It's all smart sheet forms.
Right.
So they have tablets they carry around, and we try to make it as simple for them to do it. The check boxes, they don't have to do a lot of typing. It's yes or no, and then maybe a comment section at the bottom. So we try to make it as simple as we can for them.
But not a lot of resistance then, because it was pretty straightforward because you took
there
that
was
approach.
resistance in the beginning because it just seems like a lot in the beginning. But once they got into the flow of it, it's just like, okay, this isn't as bad as maybe you set it out, or maybe I felt it was.
Oftentimes when I think someone is going to maybe be into it, maybe not be into whatever the new thing is, whatever experiment, I'll kind of approach it as, could we try this for 2 weeks?
Yes.
And usually people are willing to try something for a certain amount of time. And then you can say, okay, did it make a difference? And it either did or it didn't, right? And you have to be flexible on whatever the result was, regardless of if you think it was the solution. How did you go about kind of pitching it to the supervisors?
I think the pitching came, in the aftermath of it, let's just try it and get started. But then when I checked in with employees, they're like, no, I like that they came out and talked to me. Like I said in my presentation, I feel welcome, I feel seen. And that was the whole point of it is, we want to make sure that you're comfortable and you're set up for success.
So you got the results, and that kind of helped sell itself.
You did, yes.
Okay, so Jody, I want to jump to you. One of the things that stood out to me in your presentation is that, and again, I might not be accurate on the numbers here, but something to the effect of 200% or 213% higher engagement from managers is correlated to higher engagement among team members. So that's pretty strong indication, hey, we got to make sure managers are engaged.
Well, just how critical they are, right, to engagement and to retention.
How do you engage them?
Well, I mentioned that we're a Gallup Q12 customer. And so what Gallup does is they have their secret sauce, right? So what they do as part of their presentation is we get to see we get to see numbers of who's engaged and who's not engaged. So we did find out in our survey that we have some actively disengaged managers. What we don't get is we don't get their names, right? So we can't go after them and say, all right, how do we make you engaged? Instead, it's about looking for cues, right? Is there high turnover in some of these departments? What are some of the HR interactions with some of these managers? How are they behaving? Are they aligned to your values? How are their teams performing? So you're trying to look for some of those cues. One of the things I thought was really interesting, being a Gallup customer again, is that they have a state of the workplace report. And I actually grabbed a couple things about it where their entire focus of that report was very much on the manager because of how critical the manager is to engagement of the team. And keep in mind, you go back to if teams are highly engaged, they're more productive, there's less absenteeism, there's less accidents, things like that. So it's critically important.
Yeah.
But their report was you need to ensure all your managers receive training to offset their disengagement. You need to teach managers effective coaching techniques. And then lastly, I'm looking for my number 3, you need to increase their well-being. So be focused on the manager's well-being as well. But for us, it's very much about watching for those cues.
Yeah.
It's watching for what's happening within the floor. Are they performing? Are they not performing? How are they talking to their team? Are they having those conversations? How are they demonstrating the values of the organization?
I mean, recently it's really stood out to me about how important it is to have that manager be equipped with having those conversations, the coaching conversations.
Exactly.
Some of those are crucial. And then what can you do to really make sure that even if there's conflict, you can approach it in the best way possible?
Yes,
Vital.
that's right. I would agree.
Absolutely vital. Okay, you also talked about stay interviews.
Yes, I did.
I learned about stay interviews maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Like, haven't known about them forever. As soon as I first found out about them, I thought this is a no-brainer. Let's be proactive. Like, let's engage. So I'll be open about the fact that I have structured, scheduled stay interviews. But then anytime there's an opportunity and that conversation turns into a stay interview, I will take it.
Absolutely. I would agree.
So
Same here.
What's your approach, and then what's maybe one of your favorite questions in a stay interview that you've just found being really effective?
I've simply said, what would cause you to leave our organization? Because I've had these conversations with my team as well. I think that, when I, in my presentation, I talked about the 4 different areas that you should focus on. It was the job, it was the, to look back at my notes here, it was the work environment, the job, growth and development, and leadership and management. People stay and people leave for different reasons. And so I simply, with my team, I have made that comment where I've said, what would cause you to leave the Bernard Group? And let's talk about it. I don't know, though, that there's a magical question, like one question is going to get to it, because I think it can be so individual by each of the employees.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Hence the importance to spend quality time with each individual on your team.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, you might see some trends, but still focus.
Exactly. And there could be one thing that's important to, one person might say, well, my hybrid schedule is very important to me. Somebody else might say it's my compensation. Somebody else might say it's my coworkers. And then you create your action plan for each of those individuals, because we know that every employee is unique, right? They have different needs and wants.
So everyone on third shift is unique, because that's a uniquely, like the segue,
Yes.
that's a uniquely challenging shift, in my
is.
opinion.
Yep.
Lots of members say, gosh, we want to have third shift. It's a struggle to drive engagement. Outside of maybe check-ins,
Yep.
what else do you recommend, or what else do you have experience with to drive positive culture on third shift and to drive engagement and retention? Can I start with you, Jennifer?
Yeah, well, I go right to continuous improvement. So if the job they're coming into is frustrating, I like to attack that and go, okay, guys, let's make that so it's a little smoother, so they're not frustrated. They can just get into the job easily. And because, third shift tends to be on an island, right? No maintenance, no management there. And I try to go around in the mornings and kind of check on people and just say hi and how you doing. And then we've also implemented Dazuki as our newest training system. So we like to make it easier so they can access the training on the floor. We've been working really hard on that in the last couple of years to just make sure that they feel they can go back and look and review a standard work or work instruction to make them feel comfortable. So just giving them resources. Yeah, and just fixing what bugs them. So, maybe that'll lessen the impact of being on a different shift. And plus, there's also shift premium, so that helps.
Yep.
Yeah.
I won't ask you how much.
Yeah.
People can look it up, but there's definitely some financial incentive there.
There is. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jody, what would you add?
I would probably add some of the soft stuff, actually. So you mentioned island. It's interesting because that's exactly the same word that I would use, is you don't want people to feel like they're on an island. So it's being present. My vice president of operations, he regularly, first of all, we don't have a third shift. We actually have just 2 shifts. We have a 6 to 6, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay.
But he is present and he's available to those employees. So those employees see him almost as much as our day employees see him.
How is that possible?
It's because of his commitment.
Okay.
He is absolutely,
Great.
he considers, he is a servant leader and he practices that on a daily basis. The other thing I would also mention is recognition, recognition for a job well done. I would also mention, in my presentation, I talked about some team building events. We actually have purposeful team building events. We will actually take those employees out of their work environment and we will have team building events with them. We will go different places and just to get to know one another. We also do have strong leadership in our in our shifts as well. So that's 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. We have managers. So there are career opportunities for those employees as well. So it's not like I'm just a second shifter or overnight shift and my only opportunity is to be a production operator, right? They have opportunities to be leads, they have opportunities to be supervisors, as well as they have opportunities to be managers. They have opportunities to move to a day shift if that's important to them. So it's kind of some of those soft things to really demonstrate the value that they provide to the organization.
I think
And we have
that's
shift differential
huge.
too.
Yes, add that. And there's between having, positive outcome in the future, whether it's 6 months from now, a year from now, and it aligns with their career goals, I think that's absolutely huge.
Absolutely. From an HR perspective, we always make sure that we're readily available to them as well.
Right.
So we do have some HR team members that will come in early or they'll stay late so that they can make that connection. We have a common mailbox where we have requests come in, so we make sure that we're responsive to that group as well. We have my learning and development program manager. She actually will conduct training sometimes at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night,
Nice.
again, because they are just as critical to the organization as our day shift is.
That's really nice. So you both mentioned check-ins and just talking about how important those are. I know that sometimes people can fall into that trap of just kind of checking the box for a check-in. What do you think people could do to make sure that they're really centered on the other person and they make those check-ins meaningful versus just compliance-based?
I would say I would lean toward that with the soft benefits. I don't I like to come in when I'm in the morning. I like to come around in third shift and just go, hey, great. Look at your board today. Well done. Or how you doing? How you feeling? So I do like to just kind of not focus on work sometimes and just go, hey, how's your family? What's new with you? And then if I feel like the check-ins are kind of stagnant, I kind of okay, guys, we need to let's switch up our approach a little bit and let's really get to know who these people are. And I know the president of the company as well. He's really good about targeting a specific employee and just going out. And every day he's continually out in the shop as well. So
Yeah, it's nice to be
Makes the effort.
intentional.
yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
What would you add?
Yeah, what I would add, definitely, I think
Mhm.
walking the floor, talking to individuals, having those informal conversations.
Mhm.
From a formal conversation perspective, we were going down the path of 4 conversations per year, like 4 formal conversations. Of course, we want leaders to be talking to their employees on a daily basis, right? We ended up just revamping that. We actually just introduced what we call momentum meetings, where they're twice a year, and one conversation is focused on growth. So we have some specific questions or kind of a question bank that we've provided to our leaders to talk about employees' growth, right? Their career opportunities and growth and development. And then the other one is all about performance. And so, again, we've equipped our leaders with a question bank to say, here's some questions that you can ask. Here's a format that you have to talk about an employee's performance. So it becomes more than just, okay, I sat down with an employee, had a quick conversation, check the box, we're done.
Yeah, they'd actually go through, look at the bank, select a few,
Exactly.
think about why I picked this one, why I won't pick that one.
Yes. And one of the advantages I think we have at our organization is that our senior leadership team very much believes in these conversations as well.
Yeah.
So they hold their teams accountable to have these conversations.
Let's talk about rewards and recognition. I mean, I'm a big fan. And back in the day, and this isn't too long ago, it's like 10 years ago, there's this kind of, it's kind of corny, but I used to put a penny in one pocket, and then by the end of the day, I'd want to put it in the other pocket, but I could only do that if I recognized someone for like a good job. And it had to be something specific, but it kind of helped me develop a routine. What do you guys do to make sure that rewards and recognition are kind of baked into the cake? Practiced by people, they're intentional, and that it doesn't get stale because, if you just say good job, pretty soon that can even become like kind of stale or, thank you. It's like, well, of course, I'm doing my job. What do you do to make sure it's always like fresh?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we just refreshed our recognition program actually, so
Perfect.
it's perfect timing. Yeah, so we just introduced it this year. It was some of the work that my HR team did. So we have a couple different things going on. We have formal recognition programs. One is what's called shout outs. And so what they are is virtual recognition, a variety of different things. Happy birthday, happy anniversary, awesome, team player, thank you, those types of things. And what happens is every employee in our organization has access to they all have email addresses. They all have access to our intranet where they're able to go in and they're able to send a shout out to employees. And I actually pulled a stat because I knew you were going to talk to me about this.
Nice.
We had 281 shout outs in this last quarter, just to give you a perspective. Then we also have a second thing, which is called values in action. So we have 4 different values at our organization. Any employee in the company can write up a value in action, and it actually is a physical card. They do it online, but it becomes a physical card, and it comes with $10 at our merch market at our company store.
Nice.
And in the the second quarter, we had 433 values in action cards that were sent. Keep in mind, I have a little bit less than 1,000 employees. And so we had over 700 people receive recognition. And they could have been some of the same people right in the second quarter. Another thing that we just recently are doing is we have a monthly newsletter. And my CEO came to me and said, you know what, Jody, I want to start to talk about stories around our values in action. And so we actually just revamped our newsletter. We actually just had our first edition. We call it the Co-Owner Connection because we're 100% employee owned. And what we're doing is instead of having the top topic or the highlight of the newsletter be a business update, kind of that top-down approach, instead, our headline is stories about our employees demonstrating values in action. And so in our August newsletter, we actually had 3 employees that we highlighted, and they were employees from across the organization, versus certain departments. And then it's a reminder about our recognition programs. So we've actually seen an uptick. And then we also report on it. Every quarter,
Nice.
I present to the senior leadership team our scorecard, and we highlight what are the values and actions that were sent, what were the shout outs that were sent. So we're trying to put that in front of our employees and our leaders on a regular basis.
Most important question of the day. In your merch store, do you have trucker hats?
We do.
Yes.
We do. Absolutely. We have
Sign
lots
me
of
up.
stuff. Yep. We do.
Jennifer, how about you? What do you do to mix it up, make sure rewards and recognition doesn't get stale?
Well, our company's a little different. Being a union shop, it's a little more difficult, but we find our way. We have safety recognition, kind of the same as the shout out, but you recognize employee working safe. They go into drawings and they get merch or different things, different prizes.
Do you have trucker hats?
Yeah, we do.
Okay,
We have
good,
trucker hats.
good.
My favorite.
Also, the continuous improvement cards, when they submit them, we kind of tally them up, and they each go in a ticket for as many as you implemented or had implemented, goes in a drawing at the end of the year, and then you get snow pups or weed whips, or because
Nice.
we're based on lawnmowers and stuff like that. And then we celebrate as a team. So if we hit a certain milestone, the entire company gets pizza, or it's a little different. We do celebrate birthdays on the office side. It's kind of fun. We all say that birthdays aren't about you; they're about the rest of us. So
We will be
get an ice
celebrating
cream
your
or
birthday.
whatever. So, but we do the best we can with what we have, and we just
Let's talk about career pathing. My last question for both of you. So, career pathing can be a huge opportunity for someone when they, again, have that future vision. It's part of their aspirational, career identity. This is what I could become, a technical leader, a people leader. Maybe it's 1 year or 3 years from now. How do you, from a small company perspective, still provide that kind of vision for someone's career and co-develop that career path?
Yeah, it is a little different and a little difficult because we have to follow some union rules about progressing as far as seniority goes. But we try to keep it really open. If people want to progress to different departments, we like to give them opportunity. It might be on a different shift, or you might not be able to get on first shift, but the opportunities are always open to advance that way. Being small, we don't have a ton of turnovers, but every one of our senior or our supervisor group has all come up through the shop. Our scheduler has come up through the shop level. Our shipping coordinator, same thing. If we recognize talent, we pull them up. Our lab people, we've pulled people that we recognize. Hey, that person has some value. And we I would say entice them in, and hey, I see you got skills.
Right?
Come on over.
Let's do more together. Right?
Yeah, so we definitely keep an open mind when we have an opening, and people from the shop will apply, and we interview them just like we would interview anybody else. So
That's great.
yeah, it's just different.
Yep. Jody, what about you? Roughly what, 1,000 team members? Some people may say, well, bigger company, more resources,
Yeah.
it's easy. How do you make sure that it doesn't get to be too complex then? And how do you manage the complexity in a bigger company?
Well, and I would say that we have some areas that do it really well
Mhm.
and some that don't when it comes to career pathing. It breaks my heart when I hear that somebody leaves the organization because they didn't feel that they had a career opportunity, because I know that there probably was a career opportunity available to them. We have some positions that we know are feeder positions into the organization. And the good news is that we have leadership in those areas that are willing to share, that are not saying, okay, this is my employee, I don't want them to move. They see that there's a greater benefit to the entire organization, right?
Mm.
The whole company benefits when we're getting people into the right spot and we're providing some of those opportunities. We also have other areas that they don't do it very well. And like I said, that's when I hear from employees that, I need to leave because I don't have the opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Thank you.
it is tough. It is tough.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you both for sharing this month on this really important topic. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
letting us be here.
If you liked these real world examples from your peers and you want to continue to compare and share best practices with your peers, take a look at our peer groups. Our benchmarking peer groups will give you the opportunity to do just that. There's a form below the player. Fill that out and we'll find a peer group that's a good fit for you. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next month.